Hello everyone, CryptoEat here. So I wanted to make a quick video about my thoughts on MKR because I've been keeping an eye on this one, and I think this could be useful as a case study as well as a trade if you wanted to take a trade here. I think a lot of people have been chopped up recently, so you have to decide whether you can take a chance here on a trade or not. And as always, you need to manage your risk when you decide to do that, and manage also the risk amount you put in a trade, especially when the trade has a couple of scenarios like this one. So when a trade has a couple of scenarios, like two scenarios, usually what you do is you don't enter with your normal risk amount. So if your risk amount is usually like 2% of your capital, when you have two possibilities, then you enter with a 1% for each possibility, or even less, depending on how you treat your risk amount. So my quick thoughts about this are that this one has been rallying for the past couple of months. It pulled a move of about 160% or even 170% in the last 2 months. And also you can see here that this one is showing the impulse also as a stochastic wave on the MTF. It's not very clean, it's a bit wavy, but it's still visible. And it's actually also aligning with the start of this, so this is something that's also convincing of it. So if you would see here, or yeah, this first part was a divergence, so either way. So the two scenarios I'm seeing for this one is either it drops from here or it pulls a parabolic move upwards. Okay, so I'm going to start with the parabolic move. The parabolic move, or what makes me think that it could pull a parabolic move from here, is simply a couple of things. First off, the shape of the price action. I'm kind of used to see things like these squeeze up hard vertical and then make or show a blow off top with a large wick and then drop. The second thing that also supports this is this shape on the MTF. So if we zoom in on this daily MTF, what you're going to see is that this one is pulling upwards, the green one, and then here you have a fake down that's collecting. So these are probably going to strongly juice up. That's also a scenario. Okay, so that's the first scenario. And also when you look at the 2-day, it's still showing the same. So these are the things that are actually supporting the first scenario of a blow off top. And in the case of the blow off top, I don't think we're going to be able to short this one or take a trade based on it, unless probably you're sitting and observing it for the next couple of days. It's zooming in and zooming in until you can find an entry or a precision entry while zoomed in. So that's the first one. The second scenario here is simply that if I try and count this one, and pardon me if I mistake or make a mistake with Elliott waves and just counting the waves anyway, the way I would count them. So the way I would count those is simply that this is a 1, 2, and then a 3, 4, and somewhere here a 5. Okay, and the reason why my 3 is here is simply because this is the highest RSI and at the same time the highest volume. Another thing is when I start to zoom in, to just identify this part here as a move on the MTF alone. So if I want to find a time frame that is showing this impulse on its own on the MTF, one interesting thing I see is, like, let me just mark the bottom of it, bottom of 4. So we want to zoom in to see this impulse. Sorry. When I zoom in on the 8-hour here, for example, what I see is start to see a pattern. And this pattern, for example, here you can see there's a trend line resistance and there's a trend line support. Okay. And at the same time, you're seeing that this here is supporting it, and you can see also that the MTF stochastic wave is kind of aligned with it, starting with it, and the local tops are also showing. You can see this also on the 6 hour, and on the 6 hour at the same time we're seeing a large divergence where the green MTF is going down, and you can see all these local bottoms and local tops perfectly aligning perfectly with the subwaves, like here for example, and then the other ones also, like here. So so the next step for me would be simply to zoom in on that last segment to see if this could be finished or not. So if I start zooming in here by looking at the 36-minute time frame, you could see that this is also forming a local top here. And if you're wondering about the why particularly the 36-minute time frame, I've explained this a lot in the group, so just check the group or check the posts in the group why I use some time frames like the 36 minute, the 48 minutes, the 24 minutes, because they are always time frames that are a tenth of the hourly time frames, and at the same time you can multiply them to reach a 1 day on the chart, so they don't produce corrupt data. So based on this, I think the second scenario would be simply to short this here. Okay, so to short this here as it's at the trend line, and as I said before, this is a risky coin because it tends to have these wicks. It's kind of a low supply coin or a low volume coin. So usually what happens is you have these volatile moves, and that makes it harder to short it with a tight stop loss. And even if you short it with a bit of a looser stop loss, it has the potential of simply hitting that stop loss and then going your way even after that. So it's a risky one, and that's why you should decide whether you can afford to try a trade like that with a risk amount that you're not going to be angry about losing or not. So if I would short this, I would simply short it here. And one way to determine where I would be taking profit is if you draw the fibs on that last impulse, as well as on the whole move, the whole impulse on the daily. I would also draw another fib here, and for me the area of interest is somewhere between the 0.5 of the last wave and the 0.382, also and particularly above this top over here, so about 1075. And when it comes to the stop loss, this is what's actually very tricky for me, as I said, because of the wicks. One thing I would do is draw a line on the wicks and try to maybe something like that. What kind of RR does it give us? It's a 3 RR, so I'm not bothered by the fact that this is loose. So that's one way of shorting this one. The other way, as I said, would be a blow off top. I can't really predict it here. So I hope this was helpful. I will try to keep doing videos like I did in the last couple of videos on the group to help you learn how to zoom in on these segments. So I've explained that this segment over here, if you wanted to look at it, you have the 30 minute to the 48, for example. So here you can see that this either can go up more or just drop from here. And same can be said about other time frames. 36, you can see the same. and the 45 and 48 are still showing that we might have one last push up, but anyway, we'll see. I hope this was helpful, guys, and best of luck with this one. Okay, have a nice evening. Bye.